All right, welcome back to the Poker Model Hand Breakdown. Today you're going to get an example of your chip stack crossing the medium to the small threshold midway through a hand and what to do when that's the case. Here we go. I have 9,000 chips holding King Jack. I'm in the small blind. Blinds are 150, 300 with a 5-chip ante. I have 30 big blinds with my 9,000 stack. Let's see how the action moves around. The action folds to the cutoff, who raises to 600. King Jack is a call behind hand, as we mentioned before. With call behind hands, we're going to call one raise. Other call behind hands are King Queen, Ace 10, Ace Jack, Ace Queen, and pocket pairs 2 through Queen, depending on your stack size. So at this point, I already know when the action folds to me, if the button folds, I'm going to call. Let's see what happens. So the button calls. Now, this is one of the first times we've come across this situation. I still have a call behind hand. So the definition still remains the same. There is still one raise in front of me. And even though another player has called, I'm still going to treat King Jack as a call behind hand here. So for that reason, I'll make the call. The big blind folds and the action is on me. So I hope you're getting used to this process here. Like always, we're going to qualify our hand as good, bad, and mediocre. And again, if you've been following us and you're starting to get the hang of this, let us know, because it's a pretty cool way to qualify your hand and make sure you're aware of what's going on for the rest of the hand here. So I have a mediocre hand, which is an open-ended straight draw. Draws like this are mediocre. So with mediocre hands, I want to check and see if my hand can improve. Now I have 8,550 chips. The 6,000 chip threshold is the small stack amount. So I already know that if I can somehow see the next 2 cards without going under 6,000 chips, then I'll be fine. My stack will still be in good shape, and maybe I'll hit the hand and win a big pot. So like always with a mediocre hand, I'll check, and we get a 1,200 chip bet from the original raiser. Now this is a continuation bet, and notice that the button calls as well. So now I have a lot of money in the pot, and I'm able to make a call for 1,200 here, which would keep my stack above the 20 big blind threshold. So like always, I'm going to make this call, keeping my stack above 20 big blinds and seeing if my mediocre hand can improve on the turn. I make the call. All right, the turn is the Queen of Clubs, which is really not a good card for me at all, because if someone had something like a set or a queen or anything else that's kind of a pair on the board, now they have the option, the ability to improve to a full house, which would beat my straight if an ace or a 9 came. So what I'm going to do here, just like always, I'm going to check. I'm going to see what happens. I still have about 1,350 chips that I could commit to this pot without going under the threshold. So let's see what happens. I make the check. Now the cutoff makes a bet of 3,500. The big blind, the button folds, and it's back to me. Now we want to try to get to the river to see if we can make our straight, obviously. But if I call this bet of 3,500, I'm really leaving myself with a very short stack, and I'm obviously not guaranteed to hit my draw. So today, in this situation, if it was a smaller bet, I may have called, but because it's such a large bet and it's going to cut into almost half, like more than about half my stack, this is a bet that I'm going to fold to. I'm going to chalk it up to a misdraw, keeping my stack over 20 big blinds, and then, like I mentioned, I'm going to fold the hand. So again, today's general idea is that you have to know what hands to call behind pre-flop. You have to know how to qualify your hands on the flop. And you have to be aware that whenever you start to go down a road, like calling with a draw and a mediocre hand, you have to keep your stack above that chip threshold of 20 big blinds. So today I was able to do that getting to the turn, but another big bet came on the turn, and that forced me to fold before getting to the river because it was such a large bet. Thanks again for checking in today. Hope you learned something. We will talk to you soon on the Poker Model Breakdown.